Hi guys, my name is Yoande. This is Founders Needed. Today I'm talking to Segun Ajibade. Segun currently runs Microsoft Technologies Limited. He used to be one of the people that were carrying the mountain called NIBSS. So today we're talking to Segun about NIBSS, a lot of the rails that they built in the NIBSS and what he's currently doing today. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah.
Thank you for agreeing to do this. It's been a lot of drama getting to this point, but yay, we're here.
Understandable.
Okay. So please take a few minutes to introduce yourself, tell us about your background, so how you found yourself in tech and...
Well, I finished from University of Abeokuta 2002, and I was posted to Lagos for NYSC. So I started with...
you were posted to Lagos, or you walked your posting to Lagos?
I was posted to Lagos officially. So I got to Lagos, and my primary place of assignment was in cashless.
Okay.
So then that was where I was introduced to the payment industry when I left school.
Okay.
So right from school, I've actually been writing programs from year 200 level, but they were not commercial programs.
Okay.
So cashless gave me the opportunity to be able to write commercial programs.
Okay.
So, and then I started with C language. But if you ask me, I don't want to go back to that language. It's a very tough language. So I used to program POS terminals.
Okay.
That's where I started from. So I write programs on POS terminals. But back then, I just write POS application on POS terminal, but I don't know the full flow from POS terminal to the bank and back. So I have POS terminals that were connected to MasterCard.
Okay.
We have MIP in our office then. And I think it was made by EcoBank or First Bank. I think that was cashless.
No, I mean when?
Well, that was 2002 to 2006.
Okay.
Cashless, I think they used to be the first for MasterCard. So TPP for MasterCard and the rest. So then I started writing program, and it just occurred to me that I needed to understand the flow from beginning to end. So I just write for POS terminal to be able to put your card, take your card details, and then send it out. So, but what happens at the back of the POS terminals, I don't really know much. You know, so we got together with the likes of Mr. Dr. Olumide, this is my department, and then the MD, Mr. Ideation. So then sat down with them, take us through, and then they have these booklets. They printed a booklet that takes you through everything. So I got a hold of the booklet. I should still have it at home. I can't really place my hand on it again. So it's like a compendium of everything you need to know about card payments.
Interesting.
The different type of cards, different type of card schemes, the different kind of protocols, the level of security that you need to put in place. They have already documented that. So once you actually just give it to you.
Interesting. And if you're curious enough, it helps you to understand your job beyond.
I just came out from school hungry for knowledge, just want to make impact. I wasn't interested in salaries and all that. I just those things that I've learned in school, that's those programming, because they didn't teach us, it was self-learned. So how can I want to start looking at how to start practicalizing some of those things. So back then, all this GSM, all these TPRS we don't have them. So we use dial-up.
Yes.
So you have this modem, banks of modem. There is this thing they call Seagate that can take about 32 ports. So you have the POS terminal that will dial in. So you need to have those numbers there. So you need to check the baud rates of the POS terminal. Is it the same thing as the modem? So that the rate at which the POS terminal is sending is not faster than the rate at which the modem is collecting. You know. So in the night when everybody has gone home, I will set up my POS, the intercom and all that. It's not fiddly playing around all those data. You know. So it gave me an understanding of, first and foremost, the ISO 85 message format. How does it work? What is it all about? The key infrastructure. How do you ensure that the messages that are moving from this point to this point fully encrypted? And when it gets to the bank, how do we authorize? What system do we need to talk to? who are the people that I need to also relate with to get the job done. You know. So eventually, I think I left card technology. I went to Paymaster. Here too, I was doing POS terminal. So that was a turning point. I built a POS application with a post gateway. That's Visual Basic. So I was supposed to connect to InterSwitch, the Basic 6. So I got to InterSwitch. There was this guy.
Exuding memories in my head.
There was this guy that was going to integrate with. So I set up my POS terminal. Then I want to show that this thing was working. So let me just get this thing out and start moving. So I got there. I sent my message from the POS terminal, a request message to their system. The guy said, "No, I don't have the message." I said, "What happened?" "Oh, yeah, I can see evidence here that it was sent to you." He said, "No, I don't have it." I said, "Okay." So I now said, "Okay, let's see your own application." Immediately he connected his own application. We sent. The message was there. What language is that? Say Java. Okay, I'm coming back. I went back to my office. Meanwhile, while I was in touch with technology, I used to program C. One other guy was programming Java. We used to have this that mine was C was better. The guy was saying Java language is the best. I said, "No, C is better." "Okay, come and use your Java to do programming on POS terminal." He couldn't respond. So that's okay. You come and use your C language to do web application. I say, okay, I won't be able to respond. I'll come back later. I never came back to him until I left. So eventually, I go back to the office from InterSwitch, and the Java that I said I wasn't going to learn, I started learning it. And in fact, I went to Ikeja to go and buy this book, learn Java in 4 days. I followed that chapter one by one for 24 days to finish everything. So when I was now done, I had the application ready. I went back to InterSwitch. I tested. I see, Photo. We shook hands, and that was it. So from there, I now went to, I think it was eTransact. Yes, from Paymaster, I went to eTransact. So I think Transact 2 was also an opportunity to also learn so much. And for me, eTransact, I went to Facile.
Okay.
So when I got to Facile, one of my friends, I think was the Paymaster, Idris, he now called me one day and said, "I think that you have left eTransact, you are now with Facile." So this is your one year work that you are doing. They put a stop to it. Find somewhere where you can sit. He said, "In fact, take this as a threat. I'm going to write to all the employers. Nobody should employ you again. They should check whether you have employed you before." So eventually, I think there was he got this mandate to do NCS.
Yes.
So I'd heard about this NCS when I was in eTransact. In fact, when eTransact needed someone to represent them on the operations committee of NCS at NIBSS office, I represented eTransact.
Interesting.
Yeah. So while I was in eTransact, my MD Valentine Obi came in and said, "I learned that there's a requirement for all switches to connect to NCS. Check, please, you go to NIBSS and go and connect our system to NIBSS." I said, "Okay, sir." So while he was talking, I packed my laptop. Okay. So when I got to NIBSS office, so I'm here to see Cyril. So I saw Cyril and I said, "I have my laptop here and I have a mandate from my MD that I should come and connect to NCS. So please go out the NCS. Connect." So then I think they were still doing setup. It was basically before they wanted to use.
Okay.
I think they had already, the market had decided to use BS64. So they started setting up and the rest. We were working on the system. So I just sat and said, "When you guys are done,
let me know.
I want to connect." So that day I couldn't get anything done. I went back to my office and said, I told my boss, I said, the NIBSS guys are not ready, but they promise that once the system is ready, we'll be the first. We want to make sure that we're the first to connect to the system. So eventually, the system was ready. I got in there, connected to the network. I fired the first message. Oh, they say they saw it. Okay. We're getting somewhere. Eventually, I think there was some small technical issues and the rest, so we couldn't complete that project until later when I was now recruited to work for NIBSS. And it was in the process of trying to connect from each other that I met Mr. Jao, who will later be my boss when I was to join NIBSS. That day I was just there, having my this, and then I just saw the one thing. So, and
exactly.
No, there's nothing like
very down to earth.
So I go up inside. She says, "I met Mr. Jao." I said, "No, I'm not met Mr. Jao. We shook hands." How was it? So that's how I got into NIBSS. The mandate then was, in fact, I thought I was coming in as a developer. They said, no, you are coming in as a system integrator, head of system integration. You know, that is, you are coming in to connect NCS to everybody, to every other person.
Interesting background. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. Okay, so some people listening to us are new to payments, they're new to product management, in the tech industry in general. So just before we get into, because this conversation is really more about, NIP, we're trying to understand how the industry shift that happened in 2012, 2013, what led to that, major shift. So, but before we get there, because we're at another point now, this is 2023, and we're at another point where another shift is happening.
Yeah.
So we're trying to understand what the base was and where we started from and how we got in here. But I think it's important to highlight the mandate of NIBSS and understand what NIBSS was set up for in the first place and why, why the banks came together and started to build NIBSS.
Well, I don't work for NIBSS again, so I will not be able to speak as a representative of NIBSS. But like I said, once with NIBSS, always with NIBSS. NIBSS was formed in 1993, and while I joined then in 2009, and I left 2016. So
so you no longer did your 1 year.
I stopped it when I went to NIBSS. So what happened basically was that NIBSS is like a shared infrastructure. So banks want to collaborate, but the point is, banks that want to collaborate, they also compete us.
Yes.
Like the former deputy governor would say, Tunde Lemon, he said the bank work with a mantra called competition. You cooperate while competing. You compete while cooperating.
Yeah.
So it goes hand in hand. So the question is, if I want to move money from this bank to this bank, you can't connect two banks together directly. Because what it will mean is that Bank A will have to connect to another 20 or 24 other banks. At the end of the day, the banks will become a telecoms company in their own right.
Exactly.
So the role of NIBSS is to serve as a shared infrastructure across the entire banking system. So that is why NIBSS is wired to be like a wholesaler. So not necessarily to deal with the man on the streets, but to deal with the bank that deals with the man on the streets. So what you will see is a case where, I give an example, check. So I pick up my check, let's say I pick GT Bank, and I say I write you a check, you have an account with UBA. So I write the check, sign it, give it to you. Now, when you take that check to your bank has a connection to my bank.
It needs to go to an ACH.
So you need to go to ACH. So that is where NIBSS comes in as the only operator of the ACH in the market. ACH is automated clearing system.
Sorry.
ACH, automated clearing system. So what it does is that it takes your check and send it to GT Bank. So GT Bank will collect the check and check if you have the money in your account. If you have the money in your account, you take it. And then the UBA bank, UBA that presented the check needs to now wait and then provide you the money. Now, the way it so works was that before the advent of having the automated clearing house, it takes about 21 days for checks to be cleared. You know, one thing about NIBSS, and that's why I'm always crazy about anything NIBSS. Once NIBSS enter like this, action. Once they step in, just know that everything will start finding their level. The things that are in disarray will start taking shape. You know, so the system is such that when you put, in fact, they've upgraded the system now where it's even single clearing. The clearing system is in different sessions. So when you write your check, the check will go to the session closest to when the check was presented. And what they've done now, they've done what we call cheque truncation. Before now, what you will see is twice a day. I think around in the morning and in the afternoon. You see bankers with briefcase. They have one very big hall. You know, they come there to come and do exchange of checks. So GT that I mentioned now will bring his own box of checks. UBA will bring his own box of checks. Zenith will bring his own. Fidelity will bring his own. All the banks will bring them. So they will now arrange the checks according to the bank. So they will now be presenting it to themselves. So there's somebody from CBN like product superintendent. So they sit down there, they coordinate. So they come twice on a daily basis. So what they've done with cheque truncation, fantastic idea by NIBSS, was that you guys don't need to come for clearing again. You don't need to come to our office physically. So that check, the image of that check, send it to us. So the system will auto clear the check within itself. So if you take the check from this bank, send it to this bank. I know the beauty of the clearing house is that when you send your clearing item, let's say in the morning, in the night, sorry, in the afternoon, there's a session for returns. That is, checks that you could not debit, that could not clear, you need to return it. Now, if you don't return it, it is taken as paid.
So, okay, just to clarify, the check imaging is based on technology called OCR.
Yes.
So, basically, what it means is, you scan the checks and it gets processed, and that is easier for everyone. So, okay, maybe a more familiar use case or example would be there's an app called Camcorder or Cam Scanner, on your phone that you can use to scan business cards. So it works in the same way, basically.
So that's an optical character recognition.
Yes.
Very interesting. So the organization that's NIBSS as an organization has this function to have an infrastructure for the entire industry. So ACH is one. Now the other one is we now have the Nigerian Central Switch. So the Nigerian Central Switch is actually built to be like a switch of switch. So you have InterSwitch, you have unified payments, you have the other switches, the number of switches, Jam Switch, Express Pay,
very many now.
So not all of them are connected to all the banks. And not
but they have to be connected to NIBSS.
They have to be connected to NIBSS. It's part of the requirement that they must be connected to NIBSS. So there's this word they use, reciprocal communication with NIBSS. That is, I can send to NIBSS and NIBSS can send to me. So they have that. Now, when the NCS came on board, we had so many POS terminals, different POS terminals in the market, that you have some only interswitch cards, card issued on interswitch network, only card issued on unified payment. I'll use those two as an example. So there was nothing like interoperability between them. So the goal of the NCS was, how can we enable interconnectivity and interoperability? That is, the two should be able to interoperate together. So anywhere I put my card, it should work. But that's the major goal of the NCS. NEFT is like it's like the paperless component of
Check
checks.
processing. Yeah.
With checks, you need to write your check, sign it, and then present it to your bank. In the case of NEFT, there's no paper, but it still function like check. The beauty for NEFT is that same way you have for checks that it goes into clearing, NEFT to go into clearing. But for NEFT, you now have the debit leg and the credit leg. There's NEFT debit, there's NEFT credit. So when you pass one leg, it automatically raises the second one.
Yeah.
Because all systems, anytime you debit, there must be a corresponding credit. Anytime you credit, there must be a corresponding debit. Yeah. If you debit and there's no corresponding credit, what it means is a one-legged transaction. Yeah. Somebody's out of pocket. Yeah. So if you are transacting, once money leaves this point, it must enter this point. Once money enters this point, the money must leave this point. Otherwise, you have a situation where money has left here, but money has not gone there. Money has gone here, but money has gone there.
And then you have disputes all over the place.
You now have disputes all over the place. So NEFT is a solution that the way it is built, it can never fail. Yes. It is a purpose-built system that if every other payment fails, NEFT will not fail. And the reason is because it's semi-manual. Semi-manual.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm happy that you mentioned NEFT because I wanted to start discussing the
product.
So yes, the products are focusing now on EFT. So the EFT connectivity across all the banks. And in payments is always everything in payments, most of it, at least, for the longest time at the beginning, it was hard. It was ISO messages. So at what point the NIBSS decide that, okay guys, let's figure out a way to semi-automate check processing without the physical checks? What were the issues in the industry, and how did you arrive at this was the solution that made sense at the time?
Well, back then, my main mandate, in fact, was later because of the fact that it's a product of NIBSS. So I needed to get involved so that I can also look at what problems do they have, that whatever it is that we are building can also solve them. Yeah. So I think one of the major driving force for changing the system is to reduce the days it takes. Before now, it used to be T+3. Then we moved to T+1. Now we are now on T+0. The only way you can achieve T+0 is if you do check truncation.
Okay. So we went from T+3 to T+1, all of these electronic and getting a lot more automated as we went, and people could start to initiate transactions from the comfort of their homes without needing to go to the bank. So obviously, telecoms advancement really helped with this.
A lot.
And the internet, telecoms plus internet. Yeah. So, okay, now we are in 2012 and NIBSS says...
2023.
No, I'm going back to NIP. So this is, we're spotlighting NIP for this conversation. So 2012, okay, we want to start doing instant payments.
Yeah.
Why?
Why? Okay, so I think when I recall that after like about 1 year of doing it, there was this pushback against the NCS. So many players were against me running the NCS, and their fears were real in the sense that if the NCS come into play, what are the areas? Can they set boundaries beyond which they must not cross? So there are a number of different committees. In fact, they release an operations guideline that says for you to operate the NCS, these are the things that you can do. These are the things that you cannot do. And as the operator, if I'm going to be implementing, I need to be conversant with the guideline.
Yeah.
So whatever we're building does not contravene whatever the guideline says. What the guideline says. So I think after a few months, because we went to different meetings, CHBO, did presentation to them. We are inter-switch office, trying to convince them. NIBSS means well. That's the word Mr. Jao uses. Mr. Jao says NIBSS means well.
Oh my God.
We are here to improve the payment system. It's part of the mandate of NIBSS. We're here to grow the market. If we are able to get what if we're able to get what we want to do rolling, the market will benefit. To benefit all of us. So all this our talk, nobody was ready to listen. Nobody, because then the truth is that there was a bit of uncertainties as to what exactly is the true intent of NIBSS. So you have to be transparent. You have to be sure that you are fair to all players in the market. So I think there was one afternoon, Mr. Lawal, that's Paul Lawal, my former MD, before Mr. Shuni came in, called me to his office. So how is this integration that you're doing with NCS? How is it going? What are the updates? I said, sir, I wasn't like to you. The market does not want NCS. You don't want to hear it. You don't want to have anything to do with it. So he now said, so you know that the NCS is what we recruited you for. To do. Since you have joined us, we have not made one of this your product. My man was, what's going on here? I'm not supposed to. My job is to help you operationalize the system. So how you make money from me? You shouldn't be my headache. Why do you add this to my? I didn't tell him that, but that was what was going through my mind. So that's because myself and Cyril and I, we were working together on the NCS. So now said that Cyril was working on the operation side, I was working on the technical side. Now said, NCS, you better go and find what you do about the NCS. It must not fail. So while I was complaining that we've done all we can, they will not listen to us. They will not just budge. So he now told me, there's something he told me that day that I can never forget. He said, I think Mr. Gaucho will remember. He said, if you look at Lagos Ibadan Expressway and all the different roads that we have in Nigeria today, now when we were building it, did they tell you the cars that will run on it? Because I was complaining to him that, let's assume they now connect. Which product do you want us to put on the how many transactions are we even? How many transactions? Because they just look at me and smile. That was when they came up with this program. They had so many analogies, anecdotes, and everything. So now told me, he said, when we were building the express, and they didn't build it and say it is only Toyota that will pass. They didn't say Lexus will pass. And they built it for all cars to pass. And then I sat back and I said, that's true. So I said, in view of that, you need to go and find something that will run on that express. The first thing you need to do, go and connect all the banks. Okay, sir, they said that they don't want to connect. I said, go and connect all the banks. So what you are going to put on it, we'll be figuring it out. But just go and connect. As I was passing through his door, I said, you know, I was not having any problem with myself. So I went to this Ajao's office. This is what Mr. Lawal said that you have to go and look for products. Yes, sir. I don't know any product I can put on this stuff. They said NCS. My God, system integration. So we said that exactly you should come and integrate. So the people that want to integrate, bring them. Integrate to the system. So these are all very smart. He said that we'll just look around, look at the problems, and then try to find a solution. So I went back to my office.
In other words, become a product manager.
Yes. So I now look at what are the different products that NIBSS has. I started with check. I said, if I put checks on the NCS, how will it play out? I run the different scenarios. It didn't work. I dropped it. See, there's another product this is a fast form. I tried it too. Man, it didn't work. What 2 years? I was sweating. And I had this in my office. I was like, okay, NEFT. NEFT. As at that time, it was T+3. If you put NEFT on the NCS, it didn't fly. I looked at it again and I said, no, it won't go. But there's something I noticed. When I go to digibank internet banking, do transaction, then there was no instant phone transfer, I was NEFT. When I put beneficiaries account,
that is the same bank.
That is the same bank. The name comes up. I said, okay. Okay, so I adjusted. My sweat, that was everything disappeared. I found a value. So I put that on one side. So I now said, okay. So what about this NEFT? If you fully automate it and it's instant, that's another value. I put it aside back. So that was how I was building on that one. So what are the problems? The first problem is across the industry for NEFT. When you supply an account number,
you're not sure.
The name of the account is not shown to you. You're not sure. But I said, if we do this across the industry, that is a value. Then for NEFT, if you automate it for the money to go instantly, that is another value. So I have 2 values. I just carry my paper. So at the house office,
yes,
I got there.
I'm ready.
I say, yes, sir, I have something that I want to present to you. Hey, so you go to the, I say, what is it? So we need to have this board in his office.
Okay.
So we started doing different charts, doing different scenarios. But that was very vast when it comes to research. That is bread and butter. He knows that thing in and out. So dissected it here, dissected it there, yes. So that's it. Go and do a product paper. So we did a product paper, took it to Mr. Lawal. So when we go to Mr. Lawal's office, he was like, no. He was just smiling like, hey, he has come again. So we presented the whole thing to him. He liked it. I said, sir, we just needed approval for us to go ahead with this product. So I said, no, give approval, he signed off. So I went back to Mr. Ajao's office. Then my other colleagues, Shea Demosun, joined me. He handles operations for ECH. Then Cyril also joined me too as well. So we had a session where we talked about the product, what are the different problems, how do we intend to solve it. Then we came up with, let's come up with the standard operating procedure. That's SOP. How will you operate? So I noticed that for it to operate, you need about 3 components: transaction processing, the settlement, and the dispute. So transaction processing is when messages move from one bank through us to the next bank. Then settlement is, it has moved. So how does money move from this bank to this bank? Then for one reason, maybe you debited somebody else, didn't get credited. So there's a disputed transaction. So how do you handle the dispute? That's how you think about it.
Interesting.
So, and when it was clear that this is what we should do, the next question is, so how do we bring it to the market? How do you interface with the players? So Mr. Ajibade again came in and said, let's bounce the idea through 3 banks. So we called Intercontinental back then, GT Bank, and I think Diamond Bank. So the 3 representatives came. I won't give the names of the head. I will just say that 2 say fantastic idea, 1 said no. No fantastic idea. So I just said, okay, let's expand the number of banks that will call.
The sample size.
Yes. So we now called another like 5 banks. 5 different banks. What do you think? Oh, all of them said it was fantastic. That was where we knew that we finally got it. So when we started, it was this same set of banks that we called. In fact, the 3 banks that we initially called, we also called them to come and integrate.
Okay.
So we started integration with them. We tested with them. Oh, it was lovely when we first started.
I was there. It was interesting, yeah. It's a great idea because, you know, validation especially solves the trust issue.
Yes, correct.
I'm sending money to you, you give me an account number, I can by myself confirm that, you know, you are the person I sent the money
matches
to.
The account.
Exactly. And it's also because, you know, in Nigeria we have this issue of what we still do anyway. The name of your passport is different from the name of your account. Is different. So, you know, all of that was it was solved like that.
Yes.
But
very nice.
It was dispute resolution and settlement was a headache.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. When a new product is starting up,
naturally.
What you typically want to do is that you cannot solve the problem at the same time.
Yeah.
And you cannot wait until all the problem are solved. Because while you are trying to solve it, another person will come in and you're not like, oh, I wanted to do this thing. So you have to wait for another cycle.
Yeah.
So you put your product and you keep improving on it. You keep improving on it until it becomes almost near perfect.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah.
And today, I think we can say, we'll go back to the history of NIP, but like today, NIP is one of the NIP name validation and I think BVN.
Yeah.
Those are probably the top payment products that have come out of Nigeria.
Yes.
So
on the NIP that time, I think we achieved almost 99% success rate.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, yes. I think now it should be like 99.8. Very, very stable. I mean, so I left the place. The guys that are there now have done a very fantastic job. They've improved on the infrastructure, on the things that we worked on back then. They've tried to take it forward without necessarily having to rock the market. You know, when you are trying to make some changes that will be disruptive, they've been able to maintain the standard. In fact, instead of going back, they are actually taking it forward.
Okay.
So the team there now, they've done a very good job.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we go back to the product development and architecture and how it works. So today, CBN is in partnership with NIBSS launching a central card. Yeah. So my question, and then there's also the cashless issue right now, which is obviously skyrocketing transaction volumes. Do you think that the industry, the infrastructure that we have for NIP, for the banks themselves, do you think that infrastructure is scalable enough to handle the volumes that are going to be coming in going forward?
You know, I recall that for back then, during different sessions that we had in-house, Mr. Yao used to hammer it very, very specifically. That is not just about processing transactions, but the question is, do we have the capacity to scale? Now, it is one thing for NIBSS to invest on infrastructure, have the best servers, have the best telecoms equipment in place. The question is, the banks that are sending transactions to you and that are also receiving transactions from you, do they have the same level of infrastructure that you have? Now, the cost of putting those infrastructure in place is not cheap.
Agreed.
Then the other part again is, when you look at the server room, set up your server room and the rest, you need to worry about power. You need to worry about temperature. That's the climate that you have inside. Data center. Now, NIBSS has built a very wonderful data. I was there when it was built. Well structured. Almost, I think it's on tier 3. It's not tier 4. I don't know whether it's certified. So almost everything that you have in the data center has redundancy. Yes. So even the servers, the power that enters the servers has redundancy. So you have power from 2 different sources. So if you look at the NIBSS office, there is one wing, there's a transformer here, there's a transformer on this side. So they take power from two different sources.
Okay.
Now, aside from the fact that you have the data center, and they still have secondary sites. So if anything happens at the primary site, they just automatically fail over to the secondary site.
Okay.
That is NIBSS infrastructure. They've implemented business continuity to that level.
Yeah.
But the question is the different players that are connected.
Exactly, because they're all interdependent.
They're all interdependent. So that's why for me, the way I would approach it would be that the regulator has said all our processing and rest should be in country. And we need to rethink that again.
And start exploring the cloud.
Start exploring cloud.
Yeah.
Now, and the regulator is within its right, and I think they are very correct to take that approach. Imagine a station where a NIBSS has a server in US, and there's a problem between our government and US government, and they now sanction us. Imagine the implication of all the payments
for the entire
system going down to be a massive problem, and that can happen.
Yeah.
Because anything can trigger all these political related issues can trigger such kind of sanction. But that's what Russia is currently.
Exactly. I was just going to say.
Yeah.
That's what we're suffering right now.
So the approach, in my own opinion, will be like a mixed breed. Okay. Mixed breed of both. So the level of infrastructure that we have in the country should be such that one can operate it locally and also in the cloud. The beauty of putting it on the cloud is that the operating costs of running diesel generators,
and even the amount of time to scale, the effort to scale,
and then you have to buy servers. So all these different infrastructures, that the headache that we have, there are some places where they take it for granted.
Exactly.
So what that translates to is that the cost there is lower.
Yeah.
So if you run your infrastructure on the cloud, the cloud system has ability to scale. So if I'm processing transaction and my processing capability today is on like 16 gig and volume now increases. If I have a data center, one may need to find a way to scale.
Exactly.
When it's on the cloud,
just click a button.
And in fact, those guys have done in such a way that it's even automatic.
Exactly.
So once they notice that, you will have said it that you don't want to go beyond less than 100 gig.
Yeah.
But the number of gig I'm using now is 16. So once it's getting up, the system will be raising it for you. So and once your capacity comes down, it brings it down.
Yeah.
So the approach should be more like a mixture of both. But maybe more emphasis on the data should be. But the processing power on the outside.
Yeah.
So it can be like dual. So you have both outside and inside, such that you can be processing on your cloud and also processing locally. So, but the data that you are operating on can be local. So if anything happens and then maybe they shut down the cloud, your processing capacity can just be brought in country. The data you are operating on is there.
So you came up with the idea in your office after being harassed by your guys to go and find money. But the good thing is, it wasn't just an idea of, we're just going to build this product. It was an idea that actually was solving a Nigerian problem. It was a problem that we all knew existed. So how did you decide in terms of execution? So you were head of technology at the
system
time.
Integration at that time.
Yeah. So integration, you became head of technology.
That's right.
So how did you guys decide on should we buy, should we build? What were the things that you considered, and how did you approach it?
So when the NCS came in as a mandate from the banking community to NIBSS to implement, the question is, should they build in-house or should they buy off the shelf? So it was determined that they couldn't build in-house. So it was best buy off the shelf. But the question is, how do you now decide who to buy from?
Yes.
So the first step was to determine what exactly do we want. What are the functionalities, what are the features that this solution must have? So based on that, they now came up with what RFP. That's the question of proposal. Sell it to the market. Then in addition to that, they now formed an industry committee. So industry committee comprises of let's get bankers, representatives from banks, and maybe somebody from, I think, CBN, to form a committee. So that committee will now review the responses to the RFP, take presentations from them, and then take a decision on which one we should buy. This was a process that was followed for base 24. That was used for the NCS. But unfortunately, that didn't go well. I think there are some implementation related issues. But for the NIP, in fact, I think there was supposed to be a model, I think, from Bank South in South Africa. That model is a bit different from ours. I think theirs is asynchronous. So you drop, when you send a message, you go away, then you come back and check. So it's like.
So I'm happy that you mentioned the synchronous messaging. So maybe we don't have a board here, but I think we should just maybe at the end of the conversation, let's try to draw out what the architecture of NIP is.
So for the NIP system, the other factor could be that we have the capacity to build in-house, and our developers can handle it. So if they can't, then you have to outsource. So that is how you decide whether you should buy or you should. And there are some situations where some solutions are not core to your business. Solutions that has to do with things that is not like as if it's going to add so much money to the bottom line. You don't outsource. There are some too that yes, it's core to your business, but for some reasons you don't have the capacity. You have to outsource. Example is that it's in the phone. When you want for the clearing house, it wasn't built in house. It was actually bought, I think, from NCR. But eventually it was changed. So it's a PFS. Yes, the solution that the coin is now. We call it ITEL also. As from outside, I'm also integrated into that solution too. On behalf of another client.
Wait, you didn't tell us whether you bought or whether you built.
It was built. No, for NIP? Oh, it was built. It was built in house. Built in house.
So I remember, I think there was one time, like almost every few weeks, you hear, NIBSS is lodging their developers in one hotel and tying them down to
I think in most likely cases where, for some reasons, maybe you have some issues you're trying to resolve. And if maybe somebody work overnight, you want to keep them in a cozy place where they don't feel too stressed. Too stressed, So it's not like keeping them so that they don't run away. No. That's just Japa syndrome. We didn't have it then. We didn't have it then.
But now.
Not prevalent now.
So in the process of building, obviously, this was an entirely new product. It was the entire country was venturing, and you were building and testing at the same time with the first 8 banks. So, what were a few things that you, looking back, you think that you could have done differently?
Looking back, what I would have done differently would be that when you're coming up with a new system, you have too many unknowns. So in most cases, you move from known to the unknown. To the unknown. So you look at where you have very good ground, where you are very competent. Then from there, you now launch into what you think is unknown. And there wasn't a system that you can say, let me quickly go and copy what they are doing.
And then you had no benchmark.
No benchmark. And then for the NCS bits that has to do with POS terminals. CBN also gave me the mandate to run as a PTSA in the market. So by that role, what it technically means is that all POS terminals are to connect to NIBSS.
Connected to NIBSS, yeah.
So then an RFP was issued. So it was solution from ITEX that was used. So then there was this agitation that no, we needed to do value-added services. So we now in-house built another system, we call it post gateway. So we migrated some of those POS terminals to it. Then I think there was another solution from Portugal. That solution was not ready. So we had to use the one that was built in-house. So if I'm to look back and say, what are those things that I would have done differently? So the best approach would have been to have a system where when you are developing, yes, when you are building, it's an iterative product. And then let me also say that one other thing that really helped me there, or helped my team while we were building, was that we didn't have all these issues around compliance. Yes. Somebody breathing down your neck that this is what the policy says, this is how it must be done. So you have an idea, they say, no, you can't do it. It's against policy. You want to do this one, no, you can't do that one. So you'll not be like, so what should we now? So what should we now?
Yeah, I think so. It's a good thing, I think, in the beginning, because these were early days and you guys were exploring and venturing into a new space. So you needed to try different things.
And you also need to have this idea that it's not everything that you try that will succeed.
Agreed.
Yeah. So there are some you will try, it won't work out well. So you take them back, improve, and
try again. Yeah.
And you keep trying, keep putting more effort until either what you are doing succeed, or you metamorphose, a version of it, or you metamorphose into something else that is better than what you started with.
Exactly. Yeah. You have the learnings from the old ones.
Yeah, from the old ones. Yes. Yeah.
Oh. Okay. So when you conceptualized this idea, what was your vision? Like, did you sit down somewhere and think, oh, I want Nigeria to, or Nigerians to be able to XYZ,
Well, back then, I'm just a developer. I was put to NIBSS, and the job I was given was to integrate banks, switches to the NCS. That was where my job stopped. So
on paper,
and the idea whether Nigeria will benefit and the rest didn't feature so visibly.
Yeah.
The person that it features more in is Mr. Ajao. Yeah. What he keeps telling us in any session that we have with him, and session is not a large house, maybe a session of 2 or 3 people, we've come to him, so I'm having this problem. How do you think we should solve it? Or I have the solution.
Yeah.
So this is how I think it should be solved. What do you think?
Yeah.
Critique it. So he is always of the opinion that Nigeria as a country will keep growing as the different people that make up the entire country keep improving on what they are working on. And whatever it is that we're working on now, we should see it more in a bigger picture.
Yeah.
That's how we look at things holistically.
Okay.
So in most of our session, he comes in and the first comment that he makes is that all the things that we're working on, that there's a word for greater good. For greater good. The values that you are bringing in, the improvement that you are bringing in, the different things that you are doing and others are doing is going to take us forward. So if we don't do it, what it means is that we can either remain stagnant or we are progressing.
Yeah.
But if you have an idea that let's do NIP, so NIBSS has done NIP, is working very well. Then one day we're just looking at the report and I saw something that caught my eye. Somebody is sending a new channel code. I'm like, what is the channel code for? It's on my list. It's how that. So what I think was GTBank. So what are you doing with this? So no, USSD. Okay. Interesting. So you started doing fund transfer on USSD. So yes. Okay. So I now went back, told my daughter, they are doing USSD now. We need to create a new channel code for them so that we can monitor. So when you monitor, you see it is also growing. So what the trend that we saw back then was that around 8-10, transaction starts going up. Towards around 3-4, start going down. Which tells us that most people go to the bank branches to do transactions. So that is why when the branches open, they start climbing. When they close, they start going down. Then some years after, it wasn't like that. So instead of going down towards 4, it keeps going up. Which tells us that transactions have started moving from the branches more into mobile. In fact, internet banking not so much. But more for mobile. In fact, I think the banks even tried instant fund transfer from ATM. I'm not so sure how
made as much of an impact.
When we discussed, I said, sorry, why would I leave my house to go to the ATM to go and do fund transfer when my bank already have it on my phone? And then someone now made an argument, although in the market it didn't play out that way. An argument that on your phone you need to have data.
So I was just going to say that
you need to have data for you to use mobile banking solution. So if you go to the ATM, you use the data of the bank to transact. That's it. But have you looked at USSD? You don't need data.
You don't need data, but you pay transaction fees.
You pay for the airtime. And the airtime that you pay is just small money. Maybe 30 naira, you pay it done. So I started planning.
Well, I think it's relative to who the user is. So you mentioned market, and there's a lot of different use cases for different kinds of people. And Nigeria is a very diverse environment. So it's been interesting to watch NIP, because I remember, when we first started and the transaction volumes, then so you had a lot of pushback from the industry. I know I was one of them. How did you guys handle the pushback from the remaining players?
The pushback wasn't against NIP.
No, it was not against NIP. NIP was a beautiful, in fact, NIP is the most beautiful product that has ever come out of Nigeria in terms of payments.
So the pushback wasn't against NIP. The pushback was against NCS. No, NCS. NCS. NIBSS. They can tolerate NIBSS because nobody is doing ACH. NIBSS is the only ACH operator in the market. No competitor. They are the only ones that do NEFT. No competitor. But the NCS is likely to ruffle feathers. The reason is because if you pass transaction directly to banks, you will cut off a lot of players. So the way it was handled back then was that you just reach a compromise. So the NIBSS operation guideline says NIBSS don't send transaction directly to banks. Yes, don't send transaction directly to banks. So if I needed to authorize transaction, I would funnel those transactions through a switch that have access to the bank. Then the other part again is that the switches will compute settlement and handle dispute resolution. So, and when the mandate for NIBSS to operate as PTSA came, it was that POS terminals will connect to NIBSS. So when traffic from POS terminals get to NIBSS, where do you pass them to? So they now said, there are two. There is the acquiring side, there is the issuing side. The issuing side is where you have the bank of the cardholder. The acquiring side is where you have the bank of the merchant. So transaction will come from the issuing side from the acquiring side to the issuing side. So NIBSS was supposed to be on the acquiring side, assist to collect. So when you collect, how do you now identify? How do you identify where to pass it to? Now, if
you're not the one acquiring transaction or issuing the transaction. They are only assisting the acquirer.
The acquirer, yes. So that is why the instruction in the NCS operation guideline was the acquirer will instruct NIBSS where those transactions of his own POS terminals should be routed to. But the issuer, that is the banker of the cardholder, cannot instruct NIBSS.
Yes, they don't have any
on where the transaction should be routed to. But the person who, because I've acquired transaction, because you are part of my business, I'll be the one to tell you where the transaction should go to. So it will be that, as Zenith Bank, I have the capacity to process my transaction. NIBSS forward my transaction
directly to me.
Then the bank will say, another bank, like maybe GT, and say, sorry, I'm still putting the infrastructure in place. Please pass those transactions to InterSwitch. And in fact, they can even go ahead to say, oh, my MasterCard, my InterSwitch, my card, Visa, Unified Payments. I have agreement with them. So when it gets to UPSL, they will reach the issuer. So that was how it was done to handle the pushback. And then when you have done this, InterSwitch is happy, Unified Payments is happy, the banks are happy. So that is good business. So it was like the banks started pointing their POS terminals to NIBSS. So you have a station where before NIBSS started, I can't remember, there was a report that was done to say how many POS terminals do we even have in the totality of this? I think depending on which side of the operator works up on, they just tell you, okay, we have 13,000, we have 5,000. So you really cannot say how many POS terminals do you have in the market. So, and like I said before, once NIBSS enters a space,
you clean it up,
and arrange everybody there. You know, so the standard operating procedure was released in the market. Okay, NIBSS will act as a PTSA, will receive traffic from the POS terminals directly. Then the NCS that you say you don't want, I need to emphasize that. The NCS that you say you don't want to see will pick the transaction and forward it based on the instruction of the acquirer of the transaction. The acquirer in this case is, in fact, in some cases may not be part of the flow of transaction. You know? So the NCS picks the transaction because there are two systems. You have the one that serves as the gateway, so just collect all the POS transactions. Then you have the second system that does the routing of the message. So you collect route. So the way to handle, in fact, the way the pushback, no, NIBSS cannot call me, no, sorry, when we get a transaction, we will not cut you out. We're not taking you out. Then, you know that problem that I also observed that was solved with this flow was that, you know, if NIBSS talk to the bank directly, they will need to create a new process to handle settlement and dispute. So they already have settlement and dispute procedures, procedures that they've documented and currently are working with InterSwitch, Unified Payment, and the other systems. So what we've done is to leverage on the success story of the existing infrastructure. We are not disrupting it. The new system is not coming in to scatter everything, disrupt everything. So what you have that is running, we reuse it. For how Mr. Jao, and I like quoting my former boss, Mr. I still my boss, what he used to say, for the greater good.
So basically, you know, involving all the players in that process and in the routing meant that the existing switches needed to figure out how to position themselves properly and offer, you know, better value to their consumers, so that the banks would choose them to process their transactions. Okay, interesting. Okay, so obviously, where a lot of other payment options have failed or have not grown as exponentially, NIP has continued to thrive. And we know the things that have contributed to that. One, like we've already mentioned, is infrastructure. The other is the fact that it plays on trust, which is a very basic human need, especially in this part of the world. So, but we know that there's still a few issues here and there. So what would you say are possible issues that we have experienced or we are currently experiencing or we may experience with NIP at some point. I know we mentioned scalability already, so but beyond scalability, what else?
For now, I think the system is still in fact, they've improved it beyond what it used to be before.
Okay.
The only area that I would, like I mentioned before, that I would suggest is that the industry needs to keep investing in infrastructure. And there may be need for the regulator to step in to help with allowing the operators to also use cloud. One, cloud is a bit cheaper, and you also have professionals that have built competence over years. Helping you to operate a data center that you are sure will never go down. So it's not like I say the regulators should say, okay, you can go and do cloud, don't carry everything and go and It should be that you can have a mixture of both, so that you can take advantage of running on the cloud plus running on soil. So the processing capability can be on cloud, the data that is being operated on can be local. Such that if there's a need to scale, the cost of scaling, the time it takes, the effort and all that will be. I think the other problem that we recently have seen with failure in bank is because of the surge. So the infrastructure that we have, is scaled to a certain capacity. And then all of a sudden, those who normally do cash are not doing transfer. So that surge is likely to even increase. Even when the new note becomes prevalent, there's this culture, it's starting to change. People will not like, wait a minute, I've actually been suffering all these years. This thing can easily be done this way, and they start going in that direction. So, and as people go in that direction, the volume will start ramping up.
Which we've been experiencing with, especially with operators. It's actually been a lot of. But it's understandable. The only issue is, I think, the issue with that was there was not enough notice from the regulator in terms of this clamp down on cash. Well, I guess
they do about three months.
Yeah, but 3 months is not enough to do anything in this country.
No, you're right. You're right. But the other thing again is that yes, they gave 3 months, but I think there's still like about, according to CNAT, about 5 months or so. So you've phased it out. It doesn't necessarily mean that the old notes will not still be collected by banks. But it's just that legal tender, the old notes
between individuals.
We've moved on.
No, but so what I'm saying is, like, because we've already mentioned, there's a natural influence on user behavior, which we have already been experiencing.
That's correct.
I've done a lot more transfers in the last how many days than so well anyway, I normally don't use a lot of times I don't spend cash. But still a lot of banks were not prepared for the volumes that they're currently getting.
That's true,
So it's really high. It's very high. Well, all in all, I guess we're headed for success.
That's
one way or the other. Okay.
The way it is designed is that you have the switch in the middle, then you have the bank outside. So they are all connecting to the switch. So anytime this bank want to send to NIP for onward delivery to this bank is expected to secure the fund. So the debit leg, the leg that has to do with debit is not sent. The only thing that is sent is the credit leg. So when you secure the fund, you send the message to the switch. The switch now use the institution code to locate where the message should go to. When it gets there, this is expected to respond back, and the response is expected to go here to tell this bank, oh, I've credited or I've not credited. So this is the flow. Now, after you have processed the transaction this way, you now need to move money from this bank that sent to this bank that is receiving.
And the first leg is synchronous.
It's synchronous. So the difference between synchronous and asynchronous is that for synchronous, I will send to you and wait for you to respond. Asynchronous, I send to you, whether you respond, you don't respond, it doesn't matter. I sent to you, I sent to you. So all I need is just confirm deliver.
Yeah.
Then I can now do a callback
To
confirm. So when you send synchronously, you have to wait, and the transaction has to be timed.
It's timed, yes.
So for POS terminals, we normally suggest that the timeout will be like 60 seconds on the POS. Then the switch will time out to the person that is sending to 50 seconds. Then the person that is sending to, so the time will be graduating low like that. But with the volume that we have, you can't afford to do more than 5 seconds.
Yes.
If your transaction timing goes beyond 5 seconds, then there's a problem with your system. So NIP is based on SOAP.
Okay.
SOAP web services.
Okay.
Then the message content is not based on XML.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but if, for instance, you want to do from cards, card involves sensitive data.
Yes.
For POS, involves sensitive data. Card number, PIN, expiry date. So you use ISO.
Yeah.
So the ISO message, not necessarily that is encrypted. The only component you have to encrypt the PIN, the way the PIN is.
Card. The card number. And the PAN.
When it gets to the system where it will be open, you now mask it.
Okay. In
line with PCI-DSS requirements, you shouldn't keep PAN in clear form. Yeah. Because if somebody gets hold of that, it can compromise somebody's account. So on no account, I think is the first. One should always keep in mind, PAN should never be in clear form if it's stored. When it's stored, it has to be encrypted. Then the PIN too, when it's being transmitted and when it gets to the other end too, it shouldn't be
encrypted or tokenized.
But the other part again is that when you maybe going a bit more detail or technical, when you have different zones, what I mean by zone is between the POS terminal and the gateway, between the gateway and the switch, between the switch and the bank or the processor, and between the processor and the bank. Now, when you send your PIN block in, the POS terminal will have encrypted. Yeah. So between the POS terminal and the gateway, there's an encryption. There's changing keys.
Oh yes.
There's a change key. So the gateway, we use the key of the POS terminal to decrypt, to open it as you have to be careful. Now use the key of where it is sending to close it. Then the other guy, once he gets it, he will open it up and close it up with the key of the next person. Now, when you say open and close of the PIN block, that's what we call PIN translation. So this open and close, we do it within a system called HSM. That's post security module. So that one is more of sending command. So you receive a message, you quickly send a command that, please, I have this PIN block. This is the key that it was encrypted with. This is the key I want you to encrypt. So the HSM will just decrypt with this key, encrypt with this key, and give you a result. On no account will HSM give you the PIN block in clear form. Yeah. In fact, keys, HSM will not give you keys in clear form. So when you get keys from the HSM, take it for granted that the key will either be encrypted with HSM's own key, or the key of the person where it is going to. Okay. Very interesting setup.
Oh. Yeah. Okay. So why I was asking for why I wanted us to discuss the architecture or the tech aspect of it. This conversation is not deep payments conversation. That's EFT space. But so what I'm asking or what I wanted to clarify is for us to understand the difference between how card processing works and how EFT transactions work.
Yes, there's a difference really. Yeah. For cards, there are other players in the market like MasterCard, Visa. Yeah. They already have ways that they do their processing. Yeah. For EFT, each player now have its own standard operating procedure. NIBSS has its own. InterSwitch has its own. E-Transact also has its own. So different payers with their different ways. But for cards, majorly it is based on ISO. Yeah, majorly on ISO. But for accounts, some use SOAP web services, some use REST web services. Then in terms of encryption, some use AES, some use PKI. That's public key, private key scenario, where you use the public to encrypt, use the private to decrypt. Then for cards, when you are transmitting, it's expected that the network that you are transmitting over is already encrypted.
Yeah.
Then the system that you are also talking to already has SSL certificates already on it. So there won't be need to encrypt the full length of the transaction, yes. Because from this touch point to this touch point, the panel that you're using to communicate is already encrypted. Yeah. So the only one that needs to be encrypted is the Kindle, and it's not even always sent, because we have different card verification method. There is the signature verification method, there is offline, there is online. So when you talk about offline, what it means is that you have a pin inside your card. So when you punch your pin on the POS terminal, the POS terminal is expected to validate against what is in the card. That's offline. Now, if you are doing online verification, what you do is that it has to send that pin to the issuer. So the issuer is the one that will now validate whether the pin is correct or not correct. Then for signature, no pin involved. When you sign the receipt, back of the card, then when you buy, you sign the back of the receipt. The person will say, compare the two. This signature, show match by, you match. If the signature does not match, sorry, I cannot provide service to you. But if the signature match, okay, let it go. I'm not sure we do that in the
No, we don't do that in Nigeria.
I saw it when I was in it.
I think
I saw it.
No, a long time ago they
blocked it. Was an agreement for fraud.
Exactly.
What's the assurance that I have that in fact most cards they're not signed?
All my cards are not signed.
Yeah, because when I signed my second day, the ink has cleared.
Well, I think that's still very, very prevalent in the Western world.
There was a place where I used my card, I think it was a shop in US. And when the lady slot in the card and the POS terminal pop up that I should put in my PIN, the lady said, "What is this?" Then, and also let me see. She passed the POS terminal and I punched my. She was surprised that I knew what needs to be done. So when she was not waiting, like I want to see whether this thing was authorized or it was authorized. Then the receipt came out. Now look at me and said, and that's the first time she will ever see a POS terminal asking customer for PIN. This is actually why. Most of the cards, in fact, back then, I don't know whether they're stopping now. That's why. Yeah. That's the regulator here has moved us away from. So no matter what issue you match right now. Yeah. If it's not cheap and PIN, nobody listens to you.
Interesting. Thank you very much for sharing NIBSS and NIP and NCS and NEFT and PTSA and everything else. So you left NIBSS in 2016.
Yeah, that's correct.
That's a while back. So what has been happening since then? What have you been doing?
While I was in NIBSS, I recall that Mr. Shonomi, my boss, the SMD after Mr. Lawa, told me, said that you've been programming all your life. You need to start living programming. You need to start living programming. Mentor other younger guys coming up, guide them, provide them necessary space for them to be able to also grow as well, go to your level. So I find that idea very fantastic idea, but I've done programming for an upward of almost. I started active programming in 2002 as a youth copper. 2002. So and at that time, I've done over, what about,
that's 14 years.
yeah, about 14 years that time. So, old character, and it takes time for you to let it go. But I've done a lot of studies, I've read books, I've gone on the internet. If I'm on Google, it's either I'm checking for, we use Stack Overflow most times. We are saying, oh, how do I, this array stuff that is giving me this problem, how do I, so those are the things that I search for more. But I now, I don't sit down in my office, and all I'll be doing is maybe approving, signing off this, attending meetings, phone calls. It's too much of a big man work. Yes. I want to be writing. I want to be writing the code. So what I did back then was that in real sense, when he told me that, I started winding down on writing applications, writing code. So I didn't take on new projects. So what I simply did was that I started delegating more to developers that we have back then. I went for a course at NIBSS. I was sent by NIBSS, a senior management program, SMP. That course really helped me a lot because it was like a scaled down version of masters,
an MBA.
MBA. So the course was such that when I finished, I was like, I just resign. I'm going to try out all the things that they taught us in that thing. But second thought, that was 2013. I said, if I resign now, that shouldn't be that sent me to this, or will not be happy with me. Maybe on a fair ground, and fair is fair, I should still give some value before I decide to just exit. So I just gave myself some time that when I eventually leave, what I've always loved to do is what I will continue doing. So since I left NIBSS, I've actually been into active programming. I still write programs same way I was writing when I was in NIBSS.
Wow.
Yeah. So but now it's a bit more different, and it is now I'm now seeing clearly what Mr. Shodobi told me that time, that there's a glass ceiling.
Yeah.
As a developer or as somebody who writes code, it might be difficult to shatter it. It's very, very tough. You don't do other things. You don't try to leave your area of specialty. It might be painful because after spending like 10, 15 years on something, you just wake up one morning and said you are not doing it again. I'm like, oh, how, why? But in my own opinion, I still feel like I can still program. I still write programs. I still build solutions. So we built majorly payment-based solution that we sell to the market. Basically,
Okay. So what kind of so you're running Supersoft as a technology
company
or on demand?
Yes. Okay. Yes. So what you see is this. In fact, the vision then was, if you have people with ideas but don't have the technical content or the competence to bring it to life. So the idea was Supersoft can help you take those ideas, will help you write programs. Write programs,
you do the technology,
write programs that helps you to get the job done.
Okay, interesting. And you've been doing that since
2016 years now.
Interesting. And how has it been?
Oh, it's been very wonderful. Very wonderful. So most times it's based on majorly on reference. Because my background does not include marketing. I've been a techie person all my life. So when I first came out of it, was very difficult to market.
Talking to
people, trying to convince them. I know this thing, or I study this thing, or I know how to do this thing. But it was a bit. What really helped me and gave me the confidence to be able to say, I think I can do this. I think I should try it. Was that because I did that LBS? I'm not trying to market LBS.
Oh, no. SMP is a great. I haven't gone through it, but I know a number of people that have.
I think I still have some of the. I still go through some of the stuff once in a while. You know, things that has to do with communication, things that have to do with marketing, cost accounting, how to read balance sheet, how to read the account.
So basically, owning the end-to-end of a business.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that gave me the confidence that it's something that I can actually find my hands on. Okay. So, and something else I also observed in the market is it takes some time for customers to trust you.
Yes.
So when you come out initially, they are still observing you. Okay, is there a value? Is there a value? So you need to show them value. And what they see as value is something that solves their problem and puts money into their pockets. Yeah.
Interesting. So, in those, the early years of entrepreneurship when things were a bit different from what you're used to, and before you got used to this, how did you handle life? How was?
Okay, so before I left NIBSS, remember that I mentioned that when I left LBS 2013, I started planning my exit from 2013. Yeah, started winding down. So one of the focus of winding down is to make sure that in case it doesn't work out,
you had a cushion.
What is your fallback? So what it means is that if you have a project that is consuming so much money, pause it for now. Because that you have ideas will not pay your bills.
Agreed.
So if you are to venture out, you need to also have plans in place to ensure that some of those bills that you were paying when you were working, you need to have some ways of
maintaining the semblance of your life.
And then some of the costs that you have, you need to start scaling them down. So that's the thing about many days. And then like I said, it takes time for the customers that you want to sell to believe in what you have and they trust you. And one thing that has really worked for me very well is the fact that because I work in NIBSS, some of those players in the market also know me as well.
Yes.
And that is an advice to young upcoming developers or entrepreneurs, or even people that are just coming out straight from school. I'm aware that there are some companies, I think in India also. And when you come out from school, you just walk up to them and say, sorry, don't pay me. I don't want to work for free. I want to volunteer.
Get the experience.
Now, two things the volunteering will do for you. The first one is that you get experience. Secondly, you get network.
Yes.
So, under normal circumstances, if I was not with any of the bank or any of the NIBSS or any of the players, I just walk up to somebody and say, I have this idea about this product. Do you buy? The first thing they'll ask is, what's your experience? What's the pedigree? Where are you coming from? What exactly are you? Why do you think I should even talk? I should listen to you? People that are in the industry, they are not listening to them. How much for you that we don't even know anything about?
Exactly.
So the volunteering actually helps you. First, like I said, to get experience, and secondly, to have network. Network of people that know you with something, so they can associate it that okay, this guy used to work with UBA, he used to work with GT, he used to work with Zenith. We know him. Maybe you are doing this, you get to know that this is what you are doing now, so you are able to foster a relationship with them, so that when you are now ready to launch your product or you have an idea that you want to know, they are not just hearing you for the first time.
Yes.
They have an idea that I know this guy, I know this guy.
Then something to add to that is also there's something that people always say, and it is extremely true, especially for product management. if you're trying to break into tech or if you're trying to break into product management, you need to have side projects. Even if you don't have, so for example, you go to companies and ask for internships or volunteer positions, and there are no opportunities. It's important to by yourself build stuff that would showcase your skills and will also help you learn even more and become better.
That's correct.
So yeah, that's very important. Okay. Mr. Ajibade.
Yes, ma'am.
The biker. Your personal life.
I love biking.
So yeah, I really love biking.
I can spend the next 5 hours talking biking.
Okay.
I got into biking, I think it was 2014. So I stayed at Optical. Our office was in Nigeria.
Makes a lot of sense.
Traffic. So, and then maybe I just got home. Someone just called me that there's this problem and there's no way to remotely log in. So you have to drive back. And then when you walk late, the houses of traffic is on it. So what you just do is that instead of entering traffic, you just relax in the office.
Wait.
10:30, 11. Everybody have gone home. Then you just go. So the road will be extremely very quick. So I looked at it and said, what are my different options? So the first thing I did was that there is this back. They've not done the toll gate that time.
Okay.
There's this back road called Topsand.
That's the Chevron side.
Yes, there is both sides. In fact, we won't take it as far as Ideation.
Oh,
that time we passed through Okombo. Wow. So regular cars will not be able to. So I said, let me try 4x4. I got Estella. So after some time, there are some places where water.
Okay.
You just enter under the bonnet, you fill the water, so you come out, you enter again. So it was, and aside from that, the place was a bit deserted.
Okay.
So there is this general fear that the only weapon you have is your vehicle. If anything comes out, you'll be like, should I wait or should I run? So I looked at it and said, maybe I think biking would be a very good idea. So I got one of my friends, an internship, told me and said, biking on yours. So when did you learn how to ride? I said they train at stadium. Stadium? That's how I was at stadium. Yeah. And I met them and said, I saw people they were learning. I said, I want to learn how to ride.
And you didn't have a bike at the time?
I didn't have a bike.
I'm going to do that. I need encouragement to get a
bike. I don't have any bike. I don't know anything about bike. I just know that I love. I want to ride because I was looking for ways to beat traffic. So I was there for like 8 weeks. Okay. And then riding. So every Saturday and Sunday, I go there to train me how to ride. So I think on the last day, when I was supposed to graduate, I wrote to the place. And the guy that was teaching me said, what is that? Okay. And you wrote to the school. I said, yes. Say, you have graduated.
Take your certificate.
Certificate. You have graduated.
Thank you.
So and when I was there, I was like, but it remained one thing. As I was coming, I was braking, but the bike wasn't stopping. Said, so which one are you using? Back or front? I said, which one did you teach me?
Exactly. Oh my God.
He said, I taught you the two. I said, yes. Agreed. But I don't say, but me, I was using the back. See, that's the problem.
You have to use
you never graduate. You don't break bike. So apparently, I learned there that the 80% of the braking power is in front. 20% is at the back. So when you brake, the bike will still be moving. But if you really want to stop, you use the hand one. It's one that actually gets to stop. So and the biking community is like a brotherhood.
Yeah.
We have different WhatsApp groups where we organize rides. Even this ride took me to Asoro. Straight into the villa.
To Abuja?
I'm telling you.
Wow.
I've been to Abuja, I've been to Port Harcourt, I've been to
Wow. Awesome conversation, really.
Thank you very much.
Awesome conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Very grateful.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll have you again sometime soon.
Thank you very much. I'm always available.